Lara Logan joins me now. She's reported extensively on Afghanistan and from Afghanistan for nearly 2 decades. She's the host of Lara Logan Has No Agenda on FoxNation.com. Part of 21st Century Terrorism Revealed is available now as well. Part 1, I should say. Lara, good to have you here. I want to get right to this Washington Post story and get your reaction to this, because what it says is that after President Ghani fled the palace, and it was clear that there was a complete power vacuum in Kabul, there was a discussion between General McKenzie, the United States General McKenzie, and others, and Baradar, the head of the Taliban, who apparently, according to this report, told them that the U.S. mission was only to evacuate American citizens, Afghan allies, and others at risk. The United States told Baradar that they would need the airport to do that. But Baradar, here's the part I wanted to get to, said to them, we have a problem. We have 2 options to deal with it. You, the United States military, take responsibility for securing Kabul, or you have to allow us to do it. And apparently the answer was, all we need is the airport. You control the rest of the city, to which Ron Klain, the chief of staff, has just retweeted saying essentially that that they did the right thing. He said, no, we were right not to take over security in Kabul when the Taliban asked if we wanted to, which confirms that story from the chief of staff. Lara, what do you think about all this?
I mean, this is just hilarious. We're actually like having a serious conversation about what the chief of the Taliban told the U.S. they could or couldn't do. I mean, like, does anyone else feel like we're in La La Land or something here, right? I mean, it's ridiculous, because you know what we're not talking about? What has the United States agreed to with the Taliban? Has this country, has this government agreed to recognize the Islamic terrorists who were responsible for 9/11 as the legitimate Islamic Emirate rulers of Afghanistan? Are they going to empower al-Qaeda with unprecedented legitimacy and power on the 20th anniversary of 9/11? That's the only thing that really matters here, because everything that you're seeing in Afghanistan now will be right here in the United States if you empower not just one Islamic Emirate. Remember, al-Qaeda has its affiliates, right? You've been lied to for years and told that these organizations in Libya and Mali and all the rest of it, you don't need to worry about them. They're not connected, except it's not true. And they share the same ideology and they share the same goal. Inas Haqqani and Siraj Haqqani and the Haqqani network, they are the Taliban. They are also the Afghan al-Qaeda. They are the oldest al-Qaeda members in Afghanistan, along with bin Laden's, high elite guard, fanatical guard. And these al-Qaeda leaders are returning to Afghanistan right now. Some of them were always there. Do you know what we did? You know what we're not talking about, Martha? The United States military and this administration knew that for months foreign fighters were flooding into Pakistan and over the border. Why are we not talking about sanctions on Pakistan? Pakistan controls the Taliban and the Haqqani network. The leadership is based there, right? So they don't do anything without Pakistan. So why aren't we asking Pakistan for answers if we really didn't know this was happening, which no one with any credibility believes for a second, right? Why aren't we asking Pakistan to stop it? If you wanted to secure Kabul, if you didn't want those Marines to die, you just had to take charge. Why did we cede control to the Taliban in the first place? You didn't need to make a deal with them to withdraw. You could have just withdrawn. But what you need to do, really, what Congress needs to pay attention to is not recognizing the Islamic Emirate of the Taliban, which will lead to the Islamic Emirate of Libya and Yemen and everywhere else. This is the caliphate. This is the political heart of the caliphate. May not be the violent ISIS al-caliphate, but believe me, this is still the greatest victory in their history since they began.
I mean, they seem dumbfounded themselves that Kabul fell into their hands as quickly as it did, and they said this is the most joyful day of our existence, and that's where they are right now. Lara, thank you very much. Always good to have you here, Lara Logan.
Thanks, Martha.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.